Here I've got this 2007 Chevy Silverado. It's here because apparently the pinion seal has been leaking for a long time, and the owner has just been driving. This thing has over 300,000 miles, and well, it can only take so much. So eventually he started to hear a loud, let's just say a whining noise coming from the rear end. And when he stopped by, I used the classic zip tie into the differential, use it as a dipstick, and I did not get any fluid in it. So while he was here, I ended up pouring in like 1 quart of gear oil into it just so it had something. The damage is done already. But the thing is, his options were to sell the truck, to scrap the truck, or to just kind of fix the leak and deal with it. You get what I'm deal with the noise. You get what I'm saying? So he's had this truck since he was brand new. He's the original owner. 300,000 miles. The first differential went out at about 90,000 miles. So he has over 210,000 on this diff. And the noise isn't that bad, so he thinks he could deal with it. He just wants the leak fixed so that it doesn't get any worse and it can actually retain its gear oil. So that's the plan today. We're gonna go ahead, replace the pinion seal, replace the diff cover, the gasket, and put some new fluid in this thing. The front wheels are chalked off. Got the truck in neutral. Here goes our brand new parts. So we got a brand new diff cover, new gasket came with it. We got our new gear oil, 75 W-90, and we got a GM genuine pinion seal. But I also bought a second pinion seal. You can see how much confident I got in putting seals in, right? So we're gonna try with the OEM first, and hopefully we have no hiccups at all. But in the event that something goes sideways and we damage the seal in any way, which I'm not expecting. Anyway, the second seal was only like $4. You get what I'm saying? It's an aftermarket one, doesn't cost a lot of money, and it's just a little bit of insurance. But I got a lot of faith that we will get the original one in just fine. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and lift it up from the center right here. Just enough to get the 2 jack stands underneath the truck. Remember, don't put your finger in any pinch points. Put it on the first click, just like on the other side, and that should be good. Alright, we are good to go, like the new chicken fajita from Taco Bell. Not a sponsor. Now we could get a closer look at this. You can see how it's all just damp and wet around right here, right where the drive shaft goes in. So that seal is no good. And the diff cover needs to come off anyways to service the fluid and clean out the inside of the diff. But the main problem here is this seal right here. So let's go ahead and get this stuff taken apart. As you can see, I do got the truck in neutral. I am able to spin the wheels and the drive shaft. These bolts right here, it appears that 11mm fits them. But as you can see, now the whole drive shaft wants to spin. So I'm just going to try to use a pry bar to prevent it from doing that. It sucks working underneath cars with no lift. Let's see if that works. Kind of just wedging my pry bar up against the ground. And yes, that is working. They're not that tight. You can see they don't need to be. They're not giant bolts. It's one of them. Let's see if I can get the one on the back side. Might have, yeah, I do got decent access to it. Alright, so I got all the bolts removed. We get our pry bar out of here. Let's see if we can kind of pop this out of here. Might have to give it some love taps. Doesn't want to come out since the shaft is aluminum. I don't want to hit it with a steel hammer. Unfortunately, it's a really small hammer. I don't know if it's going to do anything. I heard something. Alright. Did it move? Yeah, it looks like it moved. You know what's funny is that it wouldn't budge at all until they sprayed penetrating fluid, and it's really funny because I talk so much crap about penetrating fluid saying it doesn't work. And it always happens like this, that the second you spray it, all of a sudden something breaks loose, and because you see it does work. I don't think it had anything to do with the fluid, okay? It was just because I had been prying on it previously and it finally gave out. You get what I'm saying? That's my story and I'm sticking to it. I can't tell, did it come out yet? Oh, it's on its way. You can see it's pivoting. Only ahead. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh well. Okay. It's down. I believe we could just let this rest on the ground. Not a big issue. Let me try to get this cap out of here without losing the needle bearings. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this so that the cap is upside down like that, like a cup, so they have less chance of falling out, if that makes any sense. So there we go. Just a little bit of prying. Hey, at least they're not bone dry. Does look like there's like grease inside of there. See if it'll slide back on with no issues at all. Perfect. Now we could go ahead and remove this nut right here. You know what, before we try to get the nut off, I want to go ahead and clean the threads, and you could use a wire brush. I'm just going to use my Dremel with this attachment right here, like this flexible attachment. Guys, I keep preaching about this. Get yourself a Dremel with one of these attachments. It is a lifesaver. Can't tell you how many times this thing has gotten me out of a pinch. Think of it like this. We all know wire brushes are a necessity when working on cars, right? They are absolutely a necessity. Well, think of the wire brush, the one you hold in your hand, like a ratchet. And think of this tool right here as a cordless impact gun. When you're working on cars, would you rather have a ratchet to do your whole entire job, or do you want an impact gun? You get what I'm saying? That's how people should be looking at this. So when I say you need a Dremel, get one. So I just grabbed a random large socket out of my socket set. I don't know what size it is because all my sizes have long gone. But let's see. Look at that, first try, guys. So, alright, let me get the impact gun because as smart as I am, I don't have it with me. Alright, let's see if I can just hold it from here. What I was worried about, guys. That's not your purse. Yes, King of the Hill, classic. Or does he say that's my purse? I don't know, either way it's funny. Alright, so the nut is off. And should this piece just slide out? Maybe? Oh yeah, it's sliding out already. You can tell I don't do this stuff often. Here's the thing. Like I said, I put 1 quart of gear oil in here, right? I don't know how much is left in here, but I don't want to pull this out and we have a giant mess right here. So we need to go on the other side and remove the diff cover anyways. So let's go ahead, get the diff cover out of the equation, and we'll drain any fluid that is left inside of it. We'll drain it out. Alright, so I thought I was recording, but I wasn't, of course. So I started to just loosen the bolts, just working my way around. These are going to be a 13 mil. And I actually thought they were standard size, so I tried like a 1/2 inch socket, did not fit. So these are metric. It sucks because my whole life I've never had or just in general like standard tools. Everything has been metric. So I finally bought a set of standard sockets, and ooh, I've been waiting to bust those bad boys out. So I thought this was their time to shine, but apparently not. So all I'm doing is loosening these bolts, and I could already see like extra drip starting to come off of the dip. Why did I say dip? I could see bolt. Oh god, I'm just messed up. I could see drips coming off of the diff cover just from loosening the bolts. So now that they're all loose, I'm actually gonna go ahead and remove this top bolt completely. The one that has the bracket on it, it looks like maybe brake lines. So we'll get that out of the picture. And then this like line right here in the center looks like it might be for a parking brake. So I'm gonna see if I could zip tie that thing out of the way so it's not bothering us. So that's one bolt. And I kind of expected this bracket to just like completely move out the way, but I guess not. I guess there's some, oh, it's attached to the hard brake lines. Of course it's not gonna move. Okay, I'll tell you what, I don't know how mechanics have ever gotten by without zip ties. If that was ever a thing, probably not. They probably been around since the beginning of time. But I tell you what, they are great. Don't really need one over here. The brake line is holding it, but we'll put a zip tie right here just in case. Okay, all of that looks good. It's out of the way. Let's continue to remove the bolts. Now I'm just gonna switch over to electric ratchet. It's a lot faster. We'll start with the lower bolts just to get the fluid draining out. So like I said at the beginning of the video, the guy's options were to get rid of his truck that he's had since the beginning of time, or just deal with a little bit of whining. He was just more interested in making sure that the fluid is actually staying inside the housing and not puking its guts out. And he doesn't mind driving this old clunker around with a little bit of whining coming from the rear differential. And you know what, for a car with this many miles and this much age on it, I really don't blame him. No sense in going out and buying a brand new truck. Little mundane activities, things that aren't important. He said he's retired, so it's not like he relies on it to go to work or anything. You get what I'm saying? So it makes perfect sense to me. I didn't bring an appropriate size pry bar with me, but I still got the one I was using for the drive shaft over there. Let's see if we can pop this free. And of course I do have my pan right here. There we go. And I could already see the fluid that's coming out. It has like a metallic like shimmer to it, so just more proof that this thing was ran dry. Hopefully you guys can see that. See how the light's reflecting off it, and you see like that trail of just looks like glitter inside the oil. That's the damage. This is why it's so important to check all your fluids, guys. Change them. Fluid is cheap compared to replacing a whole differential. Oh yeah, this thing has like a metallic look to it, like real bad, like heavy. Keep in mind, guys, this is most likely just the quart of fluid or gear oil that I poured into here when he showed up. So had I not added that quart of gear oil, this thing would most likely be dry right now. And that's the whole cover open. Alright. And there we have it. Oh, look at the magnet on this thing. Let me show you guys. Guys, that magnet has been working overtime. 7 days straight without a day off. That is absolutely wild. That's crazy. I've never seen one that bad. And I told the guy, I was like, look, I can fix the leak for you. We could get the leak fixed, but it's not going to repair any of the damage that's already done. And if the differential completely fails, because of this, I'm not responsible. So I laid everything out and I told the guy, look, we are not fixing anything. All of this work is to stop the leak. but the damage is already done, and he understands everything and he agreed to everything. So if we fix this leak and put new gear oil, and a week later his rear end blows up and it needs a new differential, not on me, not my fault. I laid everything out and told him what's going on. So that's where we're at, in case anyone was wondering. And this is why, oh god, you smell that? It smells so good. If you know, you know. Whenever I'm doing a service like this where the cover has to come off, guys, just replace it. It makes no sense, you know, spending all this time trying to clean up this mating surface. On top of that, I mean, look at how rusty it is, right? Just replace it, guys. These things are dirt cheap. Makes your job easy, makes the job more let's just say reliable, because you're more likely to get a nice seal on a new part with a new gasket rather than trying to use something like this. So we have to transfer over the magnet, because I don't believe the new one has a magnet. Oh wait, it does. But you know what, a lot of times I've noticed these aftermarket covers come with like the cheapest magnet possible. So I'm going to clean this one off anyway and have a look at it. If it's a stronger, better magnet, then I'm going to transfer it over and we'll get rid of that one. I mean, the cheap magnets that come with these things are on par with Rock Auto magnets. And once again, if you know, you know. Rock Auto's magnets, yeah, not that great. So let's go ahead and clean this up. Oh, it's actually hard. I thought it would be like soft. You know, you just kind of like push it around. This feels solid, guys. This is crazy. I've never seen something this bad. Wow. You know what? I should take a picture of this. Just send it to the owner before I start messing with it any further. Alright, so I took the picture. That's crazy. And all because you got a little leak and you don't address it. What the heck? Are these things glued on? No, it's kind of moving. Let me get my prying tool. It does kind of seem like it's glued in place. So, knowing that, I'm gonna check the new one. If the new magnet is glued in place just like this one, then I'm not gonna mess with it, guys. They seem to be about the same thickness. Alright, so here goes the new magnet, and me trying to move this, it doesn't want to move. So I'm assuming it's also glued in place just like the original one. Guys, we're not messing with this. There's a reason why they're glued in place, and I'd hate for it to break free while it's in the diff and cause damage. So leave it alone if it's glued in place, and I guess this one is perfectly fine. At this point, guys, I just have a bunch of cleaning to do inside of here to get all that mess out of there as much as I can. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. It never is. But all you can do is try your best to clean up all the crap that's inside of there, and I'll bring you guys back when we're ready to install the new cover. Alright, so I'm all done cleaning. As you can see, everything looks decent. The mating surface where the gasket has to go, as well as the inside of the diff, I tried to clean as much as I can. I went through a couple of bottles of brake parts cleaner. It looks pretty good. And if anyone's wondering where all like that metal shavings and glitter came from, well, if you look at the ring gear right here, you can see how shiny all this stuff is. Like I said, I'm no expert on any of this stuff, but I don't believe that this ring gear is supposed to look this like polished and shiny. You get what I'm saying? So that's where these fine metal particles are coming from. It's metal on metal contact from things like this. Here we have the new diff cover with the gasket. It's in place already. That's not going anywhere. I'm using the Permatex high-tech stuff right here. I really like this stuff. I've had great success with it. And as you can see, I put it on the diff cover side, okay? And that's what's holding the gasket in place. Now, in a perfect world, if this diff were in great condition and there was no pitting on it, there's no reason to put anything on this side. You just put it on as is and let the gasket do its job. But in this case, guys, the truck's like, this thing looks like it's ready for the junkyard. Over 300,000 miles, and the diff sealing surface is all pitted. If you don't put some sort of sealant on here, you're asking for a leak. So it's why I'm gonna go ahead and put some of this on this side as well. Like I said, normally I wouldn't do that, but in this case I will. All right, and here we go. We have plenty of clearance, so everything should go pretty smooth. We want to get underneath that bracket on top. And this type of stuff, guys, once you get the gasket in place, you don't want to be holding it on or off. So once you get it lined up, try to make sure it's in the correct spot the first time, so we don't have to peel it away. You get what I'm saying? That's how you create leaks and problems. So we made contacts. Everything went on super smooth. I could not have asked for anything better. Starting one of the bolts now. We'll put another one in this corner right here. And I have no doubt that this new diff cover is going to seal 100%. Alright, so I did a quick Google search, and Google says these bolts go down to 30 foot-pounds, and of course everything you read on the internet is true, so I'm gonna go ahead and believe that. And I'm just gonna jump around like a star pattern to torque everything down. Alright, so I think I got all of them, but just in case, I'm gonna go do a clockwise motion and check all of them off camera, and then we'll move on to the seal back here on the pinion. So before anyone mentions it, I did realize that I forgot the bracket that goes here in the center, this one. So I did remove the bolt, put the bracket on it, and torque it down again. And we saw before how the parking brake cable was just rubbing on the diff cover, so I did mount it up here on this bracket with a very heavy duty zip tie. All right, so there is a washer. Get that out of here. This seems like it should just pull right out. Maybe. There it goes. And this is what we're here to change. Let's see. Alright, here she comes. There we have it. Now whenever I'm pulling out these type of seals using that tool, I try to not scratch inside of here. In this case I did get a tiny little scratch right there, but ideally you don't want to mess up the surface because that is a sealing surface. So this little scratch I have here, nothing major, but I was aware of it, guys, so trust me, it's not like I just went in there all willy-nilly. Alright, let me go ahead, clean up this surface right here. I'll put a rag right there so no crap you know, tries to get it inside of that bearing right there. So here I have the seal. I am going with the OEM one first because I plan on this thing working the first time. Alright, so I did go ahead and pack it with some grease inside of there. Not any type of grease. I'm using assembly goo, which is made for like transmissions and gears and things like that. And once it gets hot enough, it actually will start to I don't want to say dissolve, but it breaks down and it just blends in with the gear oil. So it's perfectly fine for the differential. The reason why I'm using it is because there's a spring inside of this groove right here, and when you go beating on these seals, there is a possibility that that spring could pop out. So by packing it with grease kind of prevents that. Alright, so I have a kit over here that's made for pushing and pulling out bushings, and you can see it has a variety of different cups, and I just found one that happens to fit this seal perfectly. See it right there. Alright, so this is what I'm going to use to send this thing home, and hopefully everything goes smooth the very first time. Hopefully you guys can tell that this surface is all cleaned up. So here goes our new seal. Oh no, it doesn't fit. No, I'm just joking. Alright. Oh, I didn't think of this piece pointing out the center. Might not be able to use that cap. We'll find out. I'm just gonna give it a few love taps all the way around. Until it looks like it's starting to go in, which it does. Then let's see if I could use this. Yeah, I could use this center cap, but only for a little while because it looks like it's gonna hit that shaft coming out. You guys heard the sound change, right? From this side, it's fully seated. Even on that side, it looks pretty good. Now I could go around on that side to look, but I'm just gonna grab my mirror and I'll check. But just by feeling it with my finger, it feels like it's fully seated. Or I could just continue to use my hammer. Guys, this is a soft hammer, okay? This side is rubber, this side is plastic. So I was just using the plastic side. Let me grab my mirror to check it out, but I can assure you it feels like it's fully seated. Looks good to me. Perfect. And I've already gone ahead and sprayed the bottom of the diff with some brake parts cleaner and wiped it down with a rag, because you don't want to leave it all just wet and nasty looking, because if you develop a leak in the future, you know, was that the old stuff, or is there a new leak? Who knows? So a little bit of cleaning goes a long way. So guys, I think we are just about done here. This video is probably getting long. If it's not getting long, I know it's taking me forever to do this job because I'm recording. So let me try to save some time. I'm just gonna go ahead and knock this out. Guys, we're pretty much done here. Okay, I'm just gonna put all this stuff back together. So the drive shaft is all buttoned up, as you can see. It's time to add the fluids, and I know the diff cover has a fill point right here, but I don't want to mess with that stuff. I don't like messing with diff covers when I just installed them and things are still curing, if that makes any sense. All I did was I put the appropriate size bit on my ratchet here, and all I did was confirm that this drain or fill plug is completely torqued down, and it is, because you don't want to assume that it's tight right out the factory, and if that backs off, you're gonna have a bad day. So I just double checked it. It is nice and snug. Instead, we're gonna use the factory fill plug, which is right there. Hopefully you can see that. I got the fill plug removed, and as you can see, we got our brand new bottle right here of gear oil. Just go ahead, squeeze her in. Alright, so we are done filling this thing up. You can see it's actually dripping. See that? Alright, so it's completely filled. I'm just trying to get whatever's left inside this little tube that I was using to get the fluid in here. So this thing took about a little bit over 2.5 quarts to fill it up. So I'm going to let this settle out. Well, you know what? I'm just going to put the plug on it right now. And like I said, once I get it on the ground, I'll remove that plug one more time just to make sure we are full when the vehicle is on the level ground. The truck is back on the ground. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the fill plug. If fluid continues to come out, then we'll just wait for it to stop. We know it's filled. But if I pull this plug, nothing comes out on the level ground, it means we need more fluid. And it looks like we need more fluid, which makes sense because with the jack stands on the rear axle here, the car was actually tilted forward. so the the fill plug is towards the front, so of course it would drain out a little bit more than we need to drain out. So let me go ahead and top it off. So I'm done topping off the fluids, and I did keep an eye on everything when I was topping off the gear oil, so I didn't notice any drips anywhere. Everything's looking really good. So at this point we could take this turd out for a test drive. Of course, check engine lights on. Brake pedal feels like crap. It feels like it goes all the way to the ground. And the noise is still there, of course. Alright, let's see if you guys can listen to this. Hopefully you can hear when I let off the accelerator pedal. Basically there's no load being put on the diff back there, so the noise changes, of course, but it sounds like a jet, preparing to take off. That's exactly how it sounded when it came in the first time I looked at it. And as soon as you get back on the accelerator pedal, alright, so we all knew it wasn't going to take care of the noise, okay? No one ever thought that or suspected it or whatever. But let's go back to the garage, make sure we're not leaking anything, and this turd's ready to go. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and like always, thanks for watching.